Welcome to the Sober and Happy podcast, where we talk about all things recovery related, how to navigate the challenges that we'll face along the way on our journey towards our best lives, and how we could go from living a life of simply just being sober to a life where we're both sober and happy. Anybody who has tried to quit drinking knows that those early days of sobriety can be very challenging, and that a large majority of people fail. Most studies show that between 1/2 and 2/3 of people relapse within the first 30 days. Today we'll discuss what to expect in those early days, how to handle the inevitable challenges, and most importantly, how to stay motivated when things get tough. So buckle up. This is going to be a great episode. Welcome back. If you're listening to this episode because you're thinking about getting sober, or if you're at the beginning of your sobriety, I want to do a quick experiment with you. In the intro, when I said that between 1/2 and 2/3 of people relapse within the first 30 days, what was your first thought? When most people hear that, they usually go in one of two directions. They either think something like, man, almost everybody fails. I don't know if I could do it. Or they think, I'm going to be one of the few people who succeed. And depending on which of those two directions you go, you'll either see all the reasons you can do it or find all the excuses why you can't. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Getting sober is going to be a challenge. Sometimes it's going to be really frickin' hard. There is no way to avoid that. But I cannot stress enough how important it is that you accept, embrace, and face this challenge. If you try to avoid it, you'll only find yourself in the cycle of relapses because the ultimate avoidance is returning to the substance that we have used for avoidance for much of our lives. I know the one key difference in every other time I tried to quit drinking in my past, and this last time where I have achieved sustained sobriety, was my mindset in the beginning. In all my failed attempts, I went into it with the mindset that I was going to try to get sober. The just trying mindset always ended up with me only trying until things got too uncomfortable, and then I would just quit trying. This last time, I still had no idea even if it was possible for someone like me to stay sober. But I told myself that I was going to do everything in my power to give my 100% effort to see what sober life looked like. It didn't mean that I had fewer challenges. The difference is that I committed to myself that I was going to face those challenges rather than run from them. One of my favorite stories of all time is the difference between how cows and buffaloes handle an oncoming storm. Cows will run from the storm, but the storm moves faster than the cows, so it always catches up. And the cows, because they are still running in the direction of the storm, end up stuck in it even longer. Buffaloes, on the other hand, face the storm head on. Since they run straight into the storm, they spend significantly less time in it because they're running right through it. It is the same way when we try to get sober. We try to avoid all things uncomfortable and run from our problems, we will never escape the storm. To get through it, we must face our challenges head on. So my first piece of advice for you is to stop running. Accept the challenges that you will certainly face and push your way through the storm. Be the buffalo. But accepting the challenges doesn't mean that we just sit idly and suffer. Knowing what we will be facing could help us be prepared to take steps to get through the discomfort that comes with each challenge. Knowing what's normal during early sobriety can be incredibly helpful. Let's start with what you might expect in these early days. It's often described as a roller coaster, and there's a reason for that. Physically, you're likely going to feel much different. The body takes time to adjust when it no longer has alcohol to process, and that adjustment can bring some real challenges. Expect some discomfort in these initial days. You may feel irritable, foggy, or like your emotions are everywhere. This is totally normal, and while everyone's experience is unique, common symptoms can include headaches, trouble sleeping, feeling restless, and even vivid drinking dreams, which I had regularly for months. I need to pause one moment here and give an important disclaimer. Detoxing from alcohol, especially if you're a heavy drinker, can be very dangerous and even deadly. It's best to consult a physician if you're considering quitting. And if you don't have a doctor, you could usually go to an emergency room and they could get you the proper care that you need. Just type alcohol detox emergency room into Google and it should show you some resources in your area. Now, let's touch on the emotional journey of early sobriety. This could be one of the hardest parts, especially when alcohol was used as a tool for coping. You may start to notice emotions rising that you haven't dealt with in years. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by these feelings, but try to view them as a sign that you are healing. Journaling is a helpful way to process emotions. Write down what you're feeling, what might be causing it, and any thoughts that come up. Sometimes just putting pen to paper can make the feelings feel less empowering. Now, how do we face these challenges head on? Let's break it down into specific actions you could take to navigate the physical, emotional, and social challenges you might face. First, take care of your body. Hydration is crucial. Alcohol dehydrates us, so drinking lots of water can make a surprising difference in how you feel. This is also an excellent time to start a regular exercise routine, even if it's just a walk around the block in the morning or at night. If sleep is difficult, try to keep a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time daily can help you reset your body's clock. And if sleep doesn't come quickly, don't stress too much because rest is still helpful even if you're not sleeping. Next, take care of your mind. When emotions feel overwhelming, pause and observe what's happening in the moment. Take note of any thoughts, but also focus on your breath, the sounds around you, or how your body feels. Redirecting attention can help lessen the emotion's intensity. Additionally, when it comes to cravings, know that they're temporary. Studies show that most cravings only last about 20 minutes. Find a healthy way to distract yourself during these moments. A walk, calling a friend, or even organizing something around your house can be helpful. These small steps can help you shift your focus. One of the biggest challenges in early sobriety is handling social situations, especially if friends or family don't fully understand what you're going through. You might worry about being judged or pressured, and that's a common concern. I find it is best to be completely upfront and let the people in our lives know that we have quit drinking and why it is so important to us. I used to try to avoid that conversation and would tell people something like, I'm taking a break from drinking for a while. But my friends who wanted me to keep drinking took that to heart and thought I was just on a break, and they would constantly pressure me to end my break. They were like the little kid in the back seat on a road trip, constantly asking, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Now, this would frustrate me, and I would wonder why my friends were not supporting me. However, I wasn't honest with them about my true intentions, so their actions just reflected my lack of communication. I found that when I got completely honest with my friends and told them that I needed to quit drinking because it was destroying my life and was leading me down a very dark path that I knew I wouldn't be able to survive, the encouragement to just have one almost completely stopped. Don't put off these conversations, and definitely don't wait to have them while you're already in a social situation with your drunk uncle who's already halfway through a case of beer. Drunk people and logic and reason do not coexist, so it's much better to be proactive with these conversations when possible. You'll also want to identify your triggers. A trigger could be a certain time of day, place, or even a particular person or emotion that leads to the urge to drink. If Friday evenings were a time to unwind with a drink, plan a new ritual, something that you look forward to. Could be trying a new recipe, exercising, having a game night with the family, or watching a favorite show. Changing your routine in these early days could help you avoid the situations that tempt you. Staying motivated is key, so let's discuss how we keep going even when it feels challenging. First, set small achievable goals. Instead of thinking about long-term sobriety, focus on just today or even just the next few hours. Celebrate the small wins, like making it through a craving or completing a sober weekend. These small victories add up, and acknowledging them helps reinforce your commitment. Next, it is important to find support. You don't have to go through this alone. Finding people who could relate to what you're going through is a game changer, whether it's a support group, friends who understand, or even online communities. Support from others who are also sober can remind you of why you made this choice in the first place. If you feel like you do not have any support, we have a great Facebook community. I will share the link in the show notes if you want to check it out. And don't forget to remind yourself regularly of the why behind your decision. Why did you choose to get sober? Write it down somewhere you can see daily. It might be for your health, relationships, peace of mind, or finally being the best version of yourself. Keeping this in front of you helps reinforce your motivation and remind you that you're working towards something that matters deeply to you. Getting through the early days of sobriety is a mix of mental, physical, and emotional work, and you're not alone in facing it. Each step you take to support your sobriety, from the small routines to the big mindset shifts, is progress. Sobriety is about creating a life that doesn't need escaping from. Over time, you'll discover new sources of joy, pride, and connection. The first days are often the hardest, but they're also some of the most powerful days in your journey. Remember, every day sober is a victory, and those victories add up over time. The clarity, health, and peace that come with sobriety are worth this effort. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to challenge you to take one small action this week to support your sobriety. Could be something simple like writing down 3 reasons you chose this path, finding a new way to cope with stress, or reaching out to someone for support. These little actions build the foundation for long-term success and reinforce why you are doing this. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, please do me a favor, grab your phone and text one person who you think might benefit from listening to the podcast. That would mean the world to me. New episodes come out each Friday, so I look forward to connecting with you next week. And as always, thank you so much for listening and keep living sober and happy.